All right, everybody, how's it going? It has been a while. I'm trying to restart this again. This is Today in Art podcast. Today is February 16th, 2021, the first one I've done of the new year, and it's been probably about a year since I did the last one. Just, a lot of stuff has been happening. I want to get back into the habit of doing these maybe at least weekly. All right, the one we have today is $31 million Basquiat poised to become most expensive Western work auctioned in Asia. And it is this image right here for our video viewers. And if you want to look it up online, if you're listening to audio, it's called Warrior from 1982. This article is posted February 11th, so I was trying to look at some articles. A lot of them were like dealing with stuff. It's just a lot of identity politics, which kind of Basquiat deals with too. All right, so was it Jean-Michel Basquiat, one of the most expensive contemporary artists, is set to continue his reign next month at Christie's in Hong Kong. His 1982 painting Warrior will be auctioned on March 23rd during a single slot sale titled We Are Warriors. The work, which carries a third-party guarantee, is expected to achieve a price between $31 million and $41 million dollars USD. If the present lot meets its low estimate, it will be among the top 10 Basquiats to ever sell at auction, surpassing the price of $30.7 million paid for Flesh and Spirit 1982 from the collection of Herbert Newman at Sotheby's in 2018. So someone's going to possibly pay $31 to $41 million for this right here. Which, well, I guess we'll get it. Like, you can say there's like, I'm very capitalistic. If you have the money and you want it and you want to spend it, go ahead. And you can say that there's like, it could be part of history and art history and all this stuff, and it had like, he was this big movement, but it still seems very overrated that it would pay, or it would be that much. Because we'll get into it here. It's like, some people speculate that art is used to launder money, or it's just seen as an investment that goes up. But we'll get into this here. It is simply a masterpiece, Christian Abu, Christie's international director of post-war and contemporary art, said of Warrior. The large-scale painting made with acrylic, oil stick, and spray paint on wood panel features a sword-wielding figure with Basquiat's signature skull-like head. Its subject is brutality, and Basquiat had the threat of state violence in mind when he made it. If it sells for within its estimate, Warrior will have increased dramatically in value. The current seller, a private American collector, purchased the work at Sotheby's London in 2012 for $8.7 million. So it's possibly quadrupling or quintupling in a span of about 9 years. Where it was estimated at 7.8 to 10.9 million prior to its sale in 2012. The work, once held by the Mugrabe family, sold at Sotheby's London in 2007 for 5.6 million, and before that in 2005 for 1.8 million. First exhibited in 1983 in Tokyo at Akira Akita Gallery, the work eventually traveled to exhibitions in Paris, Vienna, and Milan in the coming decades. It was last showcased in 2019 in the inaugural exhibition of the Brandt Foundation's New York space. The sale looks to continue a market ascent for Basquiat that has been going on since 2013, when Dust Heads sold at Christie's New York, bringing $48.8 million. 9 of the top 10 most expensive Basquiat works are from the same year Warrior was completed, in 82. He was at the height of his artistic power, Abul said. If you look at this, it's like a self-portrait. He had no shame to express what he wanted to express. So here's the thing, too. A lot of these sellers and art critics and stuff want to like kind of interject all this like metaphysical fancy word like nonsense into stuff too, to try to like boast it up, which kind of reminds me like realtors and stuff too. If it's a good house, you'll say specifically, you know, large dining room and all this stuff. But if it's kind of a crummy thing, they'll say, oh, it's very expressive, it's very spacious, very homey, is the way they market it. So, I mean, when it comes to this stuff, it's very much a sales game. Like half of art is like you got to create the product, but also you got to advertise and market and sell it as well if you want to treat it as a business. While the current estimate is more than triple its last price realized 9 years ago, a bull sliced in 2017 sell Lahara for $30.7 million, which depicts a menacing image of police officer behind bars as an indicator of the present work's potential value, describing the two as having equal power and equal rawness. Meanwhile, this guy, Basquiat, died at 27 of a heroin overdose, so he's such a troubled artist. I'm kind of over the whole, because I know it's supposed to be certain, you know, certain artists and certain works and all this stuff is supposed to like have all this power and meaning behind it. Then you have like these critics, and then you have like the New York, LA, Paris, Tokyo, like these like art critics and stuff. Like there's supposed to be like the intellectual superiors and all this stuff, and like, oh, you don't understand it, you're just a peasant. This whole, I don't know, for me, more and more over the last couple of years, it seems like this whole like modernism and postmodernism and all this stuff, where you're kind of producing art that lacks any kind of real craft, I guess you could say. It's just kind of, I don't know, I don't like it. I guess it's basically, it seems to lack what is supposed to be art. I know historically it's supposed to be like the next new thing, and people could technically say that the Impressionists, like their art was seen as trash compared to what came before it, because they were just creating the impression instead of fully formed painting. And that kept going into, you know, what was it? I mean, Cubism, and then all this other stuff that happened in the 20th century, and then led up to like kind of all of the graffiti and all that stuff as well. But I don't know, at a certain point, like I said, if you got the money and you want to throw it at that, you can. But I mean, I'm not sure of the size. I'm sure it's like a pretty good, decent size as well. But I don't know. Let's get back to this. Works made in the brief window between 1981 and 2, considered Basquiat's most valuable, are become increasingly scarce. Most valuable that should be becoming increasingly scarce, according to a bull. Each year they become rarer and rarer, he said. Most of them now are in museums or private foundations. Basquiat is also poised to be the most expensive work by a Western artist at an auction in Asia. If it performs as well as the house expects, it will outdo a record set in 2020 by a Gerhard Richter abstraction from the collection of financier Ronald Perelman. That work sold for $28.8 million at Sotheby's Hong Kong in July. The push to sell such a work by a Western artist for such a tall price in Asia signals that Christie's is thinking globally. I mean, China itself is a, I guess, emerging market in the world. Hong Kong market has emerged unscathed from the pandemic's economic grip, and fall sales in the city, impressed by contrast, New York auctions continue to lag. As its Hong Kong headquarters, Christie's went on to achieve the highest sale total for an auction house in Asia, notching 17 records for contemporary artists in its Hong Kong to New York December 2nd sale. Continuing the global relay style format, the Basquiat sale will be followed on March 23rd by a 20th Century Art evening sale and an Art of the Surreal evening sale. Both of them in London. Also set to be auctioned today are works by Alexander Caldra, Juan Mero, and Rennie, I don't know who that is, Margrethe. But yeah, I mean, the value supposedly is coming from, that's when his work essentially peaked. Because when you look back at artists, they kind of have like this growing phase, and they have kind of, a lot of times it'd be like a 10-year period where they have their most, I don't know, superior art, if you want to call it that. They may drop off, but he died of a heroin dose at 27. Because you can look at Pollock's stuff too, when he was kind of producing stuff, then it got into the kind of like the splatter paint stuff. But I don't know. I'm not in the art auction world. I don't know who would pay that much, but definitely when we look at it here, when it started at 1.8 million, now it supposedly could go up to 41 million. It seems like it's people are using it as an investment tool. I don't know. I'm kind of, what's the word, disenfranchised with this kind of the way certain modern, postmodern art has come out. Because I don't think it's anywhere, I don't have millions of dollars to spend. But it seems like that's kind of a ridiculous price. But I've in the last couple of years, kind of become disenfranchised with kind of the art community as a whole. Because they're pushing like all this like left-leaning diversity, inclusivity over the actual, whether the artwork is good or not. But I guess technically that's probably how it's been for a while anyway, for like decades. But yeah, there's that. That's my introduction back into the series again. But that's been Today in Art. Today is February 16th, 2021. Like I said, I'm going to try to produce one of these once a week if I can. If I can find a interesting story that'll pique my interest and I can kind of talk about it and like rant about it and give you my opinions on it. Whether it's something that's current news or something that's a little historical. I don't know. That's cool. If you're on YouTube, you can like this. You can subscribe. You can comment. I think on the audio, you can possibly like and subscribe or follow or something like that. But yeah, that's it for today. All right. Later. Peace. Bye.